Airborne Ranger on the Commodore 64. This game is something really special in my opinion. At first glance, it looks like Commando or a game like that. But when you dig deeper, what you find is a game where every move counts. It's actually a slower paced game than those arcade games. And you live or die based on the tactics you use and the decisions you make. So it is actually a really atypical game. I actually am hard pressed to think of too many others like it. You might think of it as a old school top view version of Call of Duty or a game like that. And I like how in the manual it's got a history of the Rangers. That's classy. But let's go into the game and I'll show you what it's all about. So when you start the game, you see this menu and you can assign a practice ranger, and what that does is you don't get the save. If you're on the roster, some really neat things happen, and I'll talk about that later. Then you pick your mission, and there's a wide range of missions, and they're not all just get to the goal. There's a lot of different varieties of tasks to accomplish. So in this one, we're going to destroy a munitions depot. The game starts with an airdrop where you drop bags of equipment off in the desert that your guy can later pick up and collect on his mission. And you choose where to put these. You don't want to put them near, minefields and gun enclosures. And then you parachute out, and you can kind of steer the parachute as your guy lands. Don't land him in the minefield. That's what I did at the beginning of the video, which is why I pretty much instantly died. Those wavy things on the ground are mines. And as you can see here, I've dropped 2 bags near the start, which actually may have been a mistake, because you're more encumbered when you have more equipment. If I had to describe the strategy in this game in a nutshell, it would be crawl through trenches, try not to get seen. If you're spotted, run for it. You do take a few hits, so you can confront the enemies pretty head-on, especially on the easier modes. On the harder modes, you have to sneak a little bit more. But it's a good variety of stealth and action. It's not just one or the other. You really have to conserve supplies in this game, especially when it comes to stuff like rockets to take out these installations. If you run out of ammo, you can always fall back on your knife, which is also silent. And you also get health packs from those things you pick up, those bags you pick up. So those give you extra ammo, extra health packs, etc. And be sure to check your map frequently. That's how you plan out a good route. You have to be really careful in this. That's a building in the munitions dump that I just took out. It's part of my goal in this particular mission. Other missions have you doing stuff like creating a diversion. You have to avoid contact until a buzzer goes off and then make a ruckus. I think there's a photographing an aircraft mission. There's destroying an aircraft. There's all kinds of stuff that you have to do. Capturing an officer, capturing a code book. Lots of different things going on in this game. And if you're going to play Airborne Ranger, I really recommend one of those sticks that has a button on the top because you're going to make extensive use of the keyboard. The game actually has 3 different climates you can do battle in, and they all have their different pros and cons. In the desert, I believe you can't run as fast. The temperate climate here has these lakes you can actually hide in, and you'll see that in a second. And the levels, in addition to the different terrain, the terrain gets randomized a little bit. So where trenches are in one playthrough, they might not be there the next playthrough. So every time you play the game, it's a little bit different. And here I go hiding underwater. And you can only do that for a short period of time. You gotta come up for breath, or you take damage. On the whole, the game is really excellent, but if there's one thing I don't like, it's the load times. this game loads forever. And this is the floppy edition. There was a tape one. I don't even want to know how bad that was, load time wise. The worst is when you're just learning the game and your missions might last, they might be very brief because you just get killed really fast because you're inexperienced. And then you just got to wait for it to load again for another couple of minutes. It's just infuriating. Once you get the basics figured out, your games actually last a pretty decent amount of time. So that's not as much of an issue anymore. But yeah, when you're first getting started, this game can be very frustrating. But, stick with it. It's also a quite rewarding game. You're watching the Steal the Codebook mission here. I'm going to go nab that thing in a sec. After you complete your mission objective, what you have to do is go to the X on the map and call in the chopper again. And you have to wait for it to arrive. And it's a 10 seconds where you're going to be out in the open and enemies will just kind of start swarming you and you have to defend your position until you get picked up. Worth also mentioning here is the stamina bar that's now red in the upper left corner, and you have to wait for that to drop before you can run again. You kind of have to recharge a little bit, so you can't run through the whole level. And your guy turns blue. Now, so that means I'm in the pickup zone, and I can call in the chopper. So that was a Steal the Codebook mission. Here's the one where you have to hold this guy at gunpoint. And according to the manual, if you don't hold him at gunpoint, he can escape. I don't know if that's just on the harder difficulties or not. I also kind of love the ending ditty when you get picked up. Very Donkey Kong. You can kind of tell this is a game made by 4 people. When you beat a mission, you get these merit points, and if you have a character on the roster, they get added to the total. And your guy can also get captured, and if your guy gets captured, you can actually do a mission with a different ranger that's stored on disk and rescue that guy. So many neat ideas in this game. Speaking of ending a mission, here's one unfortunate way it often ends. Yeah. Don't let the enemy chase you into a minefield. That's not good. Notice here the use of cover to avoid the enemy. These are the kind of tactics you're going to have to really master to beat this game. You can crawl when you're out in the open when your stamina is low to get it back. Then run, then hit the trench and crawl again so you can't be seen. Yeah, this game's kind of intense. You're gonna see me get overzealous in picking up my gear and get flamethrowered. One thing that was remarkable to me flipping through the manual is how the attitudes have changed. First, they don't want to make an arcade game because, that would be too shallow. But then they talk about how they don't want to make a game that's just blood and guts. They think they think war is horrible, but the tactics are really interesting and exciting. Between that and the history in the manual, you can tell that these were history buffs. They were making games by and for older, more mature people. They weren't making games for this guy. Dude, I got this headshot, and it was this guy's head was just boom, it was awesome, dude. So if you want an army game that doesn't just take brawn but takes brains, pick up Airborne Ranger. This is a game that I see myself playing a lot more of in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.